For March 13, 2009, this is News Undies. All the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. Today is Friday, the 13th of March, 2009. And now brace yourselves for a segment we call Bald-Faced Commentary. So much of modern news is so liberally peppered with opinion, personality, and commentary that it is often hard to pick out the actual grains of fact from between the boulders and sludge of commentary. Cable news outlets, including Fox News, CNBC, CNN, MSNBC, and so on, lean heavily on the idea that they are sources of news that we can trust. I have my doubts about their veracity, integrity, and impartiality. The Daily Show with Jon Stewart is a fake news program. This series of web videos, News Undies, is primarily a misanthropic tragicomedy rant derived from news. Those of us poking fun at news and newsmakers are not and should not be counted on to be the watchdogs of the news media. The news media should be beyond reproach. Instead, the news media's audience treats it as if it was beyond reproach, and the media entities do nothing to disabuse their audiences of their delusions. Jon Stewart, comedian and host of the fake news program The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, conducted a long and uncomfortable interview with former hedge fund manager and current host of the CNBC show Mad Money, Jim Cramer. Stewart, a comedian on a comedy show, appears to be the only serious voice of journalistic integrity, shining lights and turning the cameras on the real news media. He is brilliantly articulate, very well informed, and very nearly relentless without being a dick. Stewart seems to try really hard not to crucify Cramer ad hominem, but to impugn the diligence, or lack thereof, of Cramer's network in portraying the seriousness of the lunacy being perpetrated on Wall Street. It's clear in the interview that Cramer is struggling. At a couple of points, his voice seems unstable, as if he's on the verge of tears. Stewart stopped just short of calling Cramer a sycophantic toady of the CEOs and big money traders he interviews, and Cramer had no response other than to cry mea culpa. I applaud Jon Stewart for taking CNBC to task, via Cramer at least, for its complicity in making our current financial crisis. And I detest and denounce the cable news media outlets for making it necessary for him to do so. If the opportunity presents itself, please, 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 go to www.thedailyshow.com and find the full episode for Thursday, March 12, 2009. If you can find it, and it's a little tough, get to the full uncut interview too. It's worth it. In other news, over the weekend, an army soldier dressed and made up reportedly as the Batman villain the Joker was shot and killed by police in Shenandoah National Park after a chase following a stabbing and stun gunning he was alleged to have been involved in at Fort Eustis. Batman himself was not summoned and was not involved. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? The former boyfriend of Anna Nicole Smith and two doctors have been accused of conspiring to furnish her with prescription drugs which were not medically necessary. Really? There has been no word yet on whether E! Entertainment Television will be subpoenaed to turn over the entire series of The Anna Nicole Show as evidence. With all the news that shouldn't be news, I'm Paul Torville.
It's water.